You know what? You don't deserve the privilege of seeing me win. You're Travis Tanner?
Heard of me?
No.
Harvey Specter has probably been one of the most iconic male role models of the last decade. Always mixing humor and charm with some sharp rhetoric, he inspired a whole generation to become more confident and articulate in their everyday life. And in this video, we will see how he can control the frame and win almost any negotiation by using nothing but a few well-chosen words.
You couldn't close me 5 years ago. What makes you think you got a shot tonight?
Didn't. Not couldn't. And 5 years ago, it wasn't your legal services I was interested in.
There is an old saying that frame control in the end is not much more than knowing thyself. When you have sufficiently investigated your own values and personal reasons for doing what you want to do in life, then you can easily flip around any judgment made about or against you while remaining calmly in control of the conversation at all times. In the previous example, Harvey redefined his own intention to maintain the leading frame being right here. You are going to do what I ask no matter what. We could translate this as his main meta frame, the one from which he's evaluating all the conversations he has every day. At this point, it is not even a presupposition in his head anymore, it is a pure conviction. And if we follow the rhetoric here on the magical linguistics model, the first thing she says is, 5 years ago you could not close me, inference, therefore conclusion, what makes you think you can do it tonight? You're not any better than you were 5 years ago, my dear. But coming from his meta frame to evaluate the interaction, the first thing that pops out of his head is the change of word didn't, not couldn't, which is an alternative view when you just redefine a few things the person just said to favor your own authority in the conversation. Then he leads to a redefining of his own intention, of his past intention back then, when he says, 5 years ago, it was not your legal services I was interested in, my dear. Once you clearly know which metaframe you are using to evaluate the ongoing conversation, it is easier to change the meaning of your own sentences so that they swallow the mind of your interlocutor into your frame. And into any situation in life, the one who can hold a conviction the longest is the one who will materialize this same conviction into the real world.
You know, she's a nice woman.
On the case, I don't get emotionally attached to the client.
This woman had her life ripped apart. You don't even care?
I'm not about caring, I'm about winning.
Why can't you be about both?
I'd explain it to you, but then I'd have to care about you.
Before continuing on this breakdown, if you want to have access to the best language patterns ever invented, to always control the frame in sales, in negotiation, in dating, anywhere you want to use it, you have a document down below called The 7 Steps to Master Sleight of Mouth, which is the origin of how I developed my model Magical Linguistics, where you will find all the best language patterns you can ever need to defend yourself and lead people's minds every time you need to do it. And now back to Harvey. The next thing he does quite often in the show, whenever somebody is not listening to him or is too agitated and stressed out to really follow his instructions, he is first matching their emotional state or their current request, what they want to get from him. He is letting them think he's going to give it to them. And once they realize he was just fooling them, it creates a mental interruption in their brain, which makes it easier for him to then lead the conversation where he wants to lead it. In this example, Harvey wants Mike to deal with a very urgent case, but Mike is not listening because he is working on something else and wants Harvey to check it out first.
Really? Let me see that. Come with me.
Later, Mike is entering his office deadly stressed out about his illegal secrets because he is not a real lawyer, and Harvey tells him, "We've got no choice. We have to leave the country today. I can get us into a plane in about 15 minutes. Mike gets irritated and Harvey wins back the frame once again.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Are you mad at me?
No, I want to kill you.
Good, because if you're mad, that means you're not panicking. Now calm the hell down.
This is an old rule of human interactions. Whenever you want to get something from someone, you first have to acknowledge where they are mentally and emotionally and meet them there. In a less aggressive place than the corporate lawyer's world in Wall Street, you might have more time to do this one step at a time, slowly, to caress their mind until they agree with you. But when Harvey wants to move things up and accelerate the whole movement, he's breaking their mental state with an interruption like those and quickly regain control of the conversation without wasting time. Because after all, time is money.
Name's Travis Tanner.
You're Travis Tanner?
You've heard of me.
No.
I'm a senior partner with Clyde McPhee.
Which leads us to the last pillar of his negotiation skills, which is to let people believe they have the upper hand above him before attempting to negotiate anything. This is probably the most critical aspect of winning deals like he does. In any confrontation, physical, verbal, emotional, whatever you want, in a relationship, whenever the opponent or the other person believes they have won over you, their attention is going to drop, they will act less defensive, and they might be more inclined, therefore, as a consequence, to agree with you, even if they did not originally intend to do so. In the next example, we are going to see Harvey putting that into use by dealing with a security guard who caught his assistant Mike trying to steal files into a closed office. The guard believes he can play Harvey, but it is not going to end up as well as he thought.
Well, actually, Joe Spina of 2561 Clover Lane, Astoria, Queens, I think we all would. Like those tax returns you filed jointly for the last 6 years while no longer living with your wife. You know, the IRS can destroy you for that. You think you're the first person to try to extort me, Joe? Because that's the level I play at.
Right there, Harvey already knew much more about his opponent than he let it appear at first sight. Once the guard realized how much Harvey had already investigated on him privately, it created again a mental interruption because he realized he was not dealing with the opponent he thought he was dealing with, and therefore it always makes it much harder for him or anyone to keep controlling and maintaining the lead in the conversation, because you are not playing by the same rules anymore. Finally, a more elaborate form of this frame control technique is the art of matching the thoughts and objections, possible objections of an interlocutor before introducing any counter proposition or suggestion that they would have initially resisted otherwise. Right there, Harvey is trying to win back a client who is about to sign a deal with competitors he does not want him to sign, and instead of opposing resistance early on, Harvey simply tells the client that it is definitely in his best interest to actually sign. But then he is flipping the script once again.
No.
Harvey, I already told you.
Look, you said we weren't focused, and I'm not here to try to convince you that we were. But you also said you've always trusted me, and I'm telling you, trust me one more time.
When you study negotiation or sales, one of the oldest techniques is known as the yes ladder, also known as pacing and leading into NLP. It is the art of mentioning out loud all the things the subject or the person already believes to be true, including the concerns, objections and rebuttals he might have about the next proposition or suggestion we are going to make about their life. That way we can lead them more easily into an agreement than if we had presented the counter proposition right away, right in their face, without letting them express themselves first. It simply works because the human mind always loves making logical links to make sense of chaotic information and establish more meaning and more congruence into its life. Therefore, the more statements their unconscious mind says yes to, the more likely they will be to still keep saying yes to the next suggestion we make, even if that was something they didn't intend to say yes to. In the example we just saw, there were 3 pacing or yes statement and then one final leading statement, which was getting the negotiation to a close. First statement from Harvey: you said we were not focused. Okay, one objection or rebuttal or problem the subject has about the conversation. Next, and I am not here to tell you that we were. Here he is acknowledging his mistakes, the things the person does not like about him. Third, but you also said that you've always trusted me and I am telling you value. This is how you lead somebody. You make 3 statements clarifying and acknowledging their concerns, what they don't like, the things they feel negative about, and at the end, instead of saying but, you lead with an and. And I will ask you to trust me one more time. Within that structure, it is much harder to resist because your mind has already agreed with many of the presuppositions made within the proposition. 3 pacing statements and 1 leading statement. It is one of the best ways of using pacing and leading and making somebody agree during a negotiation. Despite its simplicity, it still works beautifully well. And if you want to better figure out how to understand the mind of somebody to accomplish the same kind of result, you have this document down below called the 7 Steps to Master Sleight of Mouth. It is one of the foundations I have used to develop all my communication skills. I have used many of those techniques in my private, personal and professional life for sure, and you will find the best language patterns you can ever use to win a negotiation, control the frame against difficult individuals, and develop more charisma overall in life.